Welcome back to Birmingham for the Kodak 3A's Championships, the Commonwealth Games trials. And if you were amongst the many millions who watched our coverage of the European Cup final a week ago, you will have remembered the dramatic part played by this man, Todd Bennett, who ran that brilliant third leg in the final event, the 4x400 meters, to really bring us into contention to win the whole match. Well, Todd now takes his place along with Phil Brown here in the first semi-final of the men's 400 meters. Phil Brown, another great relay specialist and winner of so many medals in the big championships, and rounding into something like his true form in the individual event. There's the lineup then. Mark Morris of Wolverhampton on the inside. Paul Dennis, Spembra in lane 2. Todd Bennett of Solent in 3. Donovan Reid, Shaftesbury Bonnet in lane 4. Gary Cadogan, Haringey in 5. Phil Brown and Steve Thomas, the two Birchfield teammates, in lane 6 and 7. Steve Coupland of Sheffield in lane 8. The first 4 will go through to the final tomorrow. And on the form displayed in the heats, certainly we would expect Bennett and Brown to be in contention. Then it might be quite close for the other 2 places. Phil Brown's had a lot of injury problems in recent years. And this season he's had a quiet, low-key sort of season, but looked very good indeed in the heats here yesterday. One of the runners, a scratch we noticed there from lane 2, the 21-year-old Paul Dennis of Spembra. So only 7 going for the 4 places for the final. You would expect to see Phil Brown in lane 6 in the black top go out hard. He was telling me yesterday that he used to do that and then just try to hold on, but now he feels he can run a more even-paced 400 meters and still be strong at the end. Gary Cadogan going well in the middle. Donovan Reid in the stripes, the former 200-meter man, well placed, and all the question is with him whether he can hold on to his form in the final 200. Certainly he's run a very strong first 200. Todd Bennett on the inside, got a little bit of ground to make up here, and Reid in fact leads them into the home straight. Bennett on the inside in the red shorts, Phil Brown nearest to the camera, and it's those 3 in a line. Phil Brown glances across to see where Todd Bennett is. Reid does indeed fail, so it's Brown, Bennett and possibly Coupland on this near side in 3rd place, with Cadogan 4th. 46.79 the winning time. And really the disappointment there for Donovan Reid was that he just couldn't hold on to what had been a very good first 200 meters. Steve Cram.
Well, I think what happened with Donovan was he went off very, very hard down that back straight into the wind, and 1 or 2 of the other boys obviously relaxed a little bit and were able to come home stronger. And you can see there Donovan's races run. He's now very heavy-legged and tying up. Todd and Phil, especially Phil, looking very, very relaxed and coming through, and the other lads scrambling for the places. And as you say, Gary Cadogan, I think, getting the 4th place for the final.
And the long jump, we pick up.
There's the lineup. Richard Hazelden goes in lane 1. Simon Grant in lane 2. Peter Crampton, the former, or in fact reigning European junior champion, in lane 3. Paul Sanders in lane 4. Felix Sandy in lane 5, the Sierra Leone athlete. In lane 6, it's Mark Thomas. Lane 7, Alan Humphreys. Lane 8, Kermit Bentham. Having just seen the first semi-final with the qualifiers, Phil Brown, Todd Bennett, Steve Thomas and Gary Cadogan, it's now the opportunity for Peter Crampton to try and ensure his place. His start to the season was badly disrupted by injuries, and some pretty serious ones as well. A very tough character and a very talented runner as well. Big and strong and bony, and certainly he did also play his part along with Todd Bennett and the rest in that marvellous 4x4 relay victory a week ago in the European Cup final. It was on this track that he won the European gold medal, junior gold, in 1987. And Crampton feeling his way back from injury and feeling more confident, I'm sure, with every race, and certainly was pleased with his run yesterday in the heats. The first 4, remember, to the final. Kermit Bentham goes in lane 8. That's Alan Humphreys of Birchfield in 7. Mark Thomas who has won all his races so far in 1989. Then the African Felix Sandy in 5. Paul Sanders, the Solent athlete, the reigning United Kingdom champion, teammate of Todd Bennett. He's in 4. Peter Crampton in lane 3. 14 is Simon Grant in lane 2. On the lineup completed with Richard Hazelden, the Croydon athlete, in lane 1. The second semi-final then of the men's 400 metres, with the first 4 to go through to tomorrow's final. Sanders probably made the best start of all in the red and white stripes, and also going well Mark Thomas. He got off very quickly indeed, in fact, and is really scorching down the back straight. Thomas, he's already overtaken 2 of the athletes outside him. So rather like Donovan Reid in the first semi-final, he's run the fastest first 200 metres, but he's got to try and hold on now. The Sierra Leone runner Felix Sandy going well, so too is Sanders in the middle there in the red and white stripes. Crampton not forcing his way through yet. The first 4 to qualify here, remember, and obviously in terms of places, he's got to try and pick one up now as Sanders hits the front. Thomas holding on for second place, and Crampton easing through now, and he looked good at the end, certainly. So it's Thomas, Sanders, Crampton and Felix Sandy, the 4th qualifier for the final. 46.79 the winning time, and the prospect of a good 400-metre final tomorrow really lining up now.
He'll be pleased enough.
On the track, it's time for the men's 400 metres final. You're seeing Phil Brown, one of our most experienced men in this event, the man who's won so many relay medals in his time, but bidding now for a place in the Commonwealth Games team in the individual 400 metres. Phil Brown drawn here in lane 3, and it should be a very competitive race indeed, this. Todd Bennett, who, like Brown, has figured in so many of our successful relay teams over the years, but now it's that individual place in his mind. Run in many 3A's finals, the best he's ever placed is 3rd. Here's the full lineup then. The Sierra Leone athlete Felix Sandy goes in lane 1. Todd Bennett of Solent in lane 2. Phil Brown, one of 3 Birchfield runners in this field, in lane 3. Paul Sanders, the other Solent man, in lane 4. Mark Thomas of Birchfield in 5. Peter Crampton, the European junior champion, the 20-year-old Yorkshireman from Bradford, lane 6. In lane 7, another Birchfield man, Steve Thomas, and Gary Cadogan of Haringey runs in lane 8. The notable man, Englishman, missing from this lineup, of course, the injured Derek Redmond, the United Kingdom record holder. And sadly, the news looks bad for Derek. It doesn't seem as if he's going to be fully fit by the time the Commonwealth Games come around. So I guess that the first 3 places here will be the men to go on the plane to Auckland. Bennett, at the age of 27, already has 2 Commonwealth gold medals in his collection in the relay. And his clash here with Phil Brown, who's looked in very good form this weekend. Brown on his outside in lane 3 will be one of the features of this race. Bit of a problem at the start. There's a piece of paper that's blown onto the track. It's a very, very windy day here in the Alexander Stadium. And the official, quite rightly, saw that it had disturbed the concentration of the runners as it fluttered across the track, and the starter asked them to stand and go back to their marks again. So on the inside we've got Felix Sandy of Sierra Leone, who recently finished 4th, by the way, in the African Championships. Todd Bennett, lane 2. Phil Brown in 3. Paul Sanders, lane 4. Mark Thomas in lane 5. Peter Crampton, lane 6. Steve Thomas in lane 7, and Gary Cadogan nearest to the camera here in lane 8. Just to underline how close this race is likely to be, 3 athletes in the semi-finals all run exactly the same time, 46.79. And really, with the exception of Derek Redmond and young Wayne MacDonald, all our top Englishmen are in this lineup. They're away this time. Todd Bennett made a good start in the red and white stripes, and the other Solent athlete, Paul Saunders, also going well. Phil Brown there in lane 3, some way back on the man outside him, Saunders, at the moment. And Mark Thomas going well in lane 5. Peter Crampton, the big Yorkshireman in the red and yellow vest, looking strong too. Mark Thomas in the middle, holding his form round the bend. Bennett's got a bit of work to do, in fact, now on the inside, but starts to come through. Mark Thomas leading at the moment. On the inside, Todd Bennett finishing very strongly, and Phil Brown finishing strongest of all. And it's going to be Brown first, Bennett second, Crampton third. A very satisfied smile for winner, runner-up, and bronze medalist, because they surely all clinched their Commonwealth Games places with that run. Phil Brown's had his disappointments in recent years. He didn't make the individual event for our Olympic team. That will be very satisfying for him, Steve Cram.
Well, Alan, that's got to be the best run we've seen from Phil for quite a long time, and I think a little bit of experience told here. As we've said before, windy conditions down the back straight. Phil Brown and Todd Bennett have run a sensible race over the first 2, and they're coming through in the last 50 metres. But I was delighted to see Peter Crampton. We can see here that long stride of his. He's finishing the fastest, actually, and he just misses getting in front of Todd Bennett. But hopefully by finishing third, he'd probably still go to the Commonwealth Games.
And he really came up strongly on Mark Thomas there in the straight to overtake him.
And slightly remarkably for Phil Brown, that in fact is his first ever outdoor 3A's senior title. He won titles as a junior and as a youth, and now he's one of the handful of people who've won them at all age groups.
So Phil Brown, the relay specialist, will go for an individual medal, and will, of course, will be a key member of our relay squad, I'm sure of that, in Auckland in January. And good to see Peter Crampton, who's had so many injury problems, the European junior champion, overcoming them and earning his place in what will be his first senior championships. Phil Brown the winner.